biggest news that's happened over the past week, the New York Knicks have made a trade, and they are now on their roster OG Anunoby, Precious Achua, and Malachi Flynn for the price of getting OG Anunoby, who headlined that deal. They had to trade away RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, and a second-round pick, which is owed to the Pistons. So it's really like another first-round pick if you really want to break it down. So not a bad, in my opinion, Danny. I think it's a good deal for both sides. The Knicks had a glut of wings. They consolidated by getting OG, and OG being a premier defender. They now have, I think, 2 defenders that they can trust in the playoffs to guard a Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, to guard a Jimmy Butler. I still don't think they have an answer for Joel Embiid, because especially with Mitchell Robinson being out for the season. And I don't think they have an answer for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but they have an answer for like the Dame Lillards of the world, maybe a Tyrese Halliburton of the world. They have an answer for Jason Tatum and all that. So I like the deal for the Knicks. And I also like it for the Raptors too, as they usher in a new era of basketball there in Toronto. What were your initial impressions?
I like the trade. I thought it was good for both sides as well. I don't think it moved the needle much for both sides, but it just changed the dynamic of the teams. It gave Toronto some depth, more depth, in a sense, and I
think point guard of the future
for sure. And it gave the Knicks, Schroeder's there for 2 years, so he's not a 2-year deal. He's there but for the future, yes, Quick is a good point guard to have to base your franchise around, long term if you want to keep him. I don't think the Knicks could have kept him for long or afford him.
Would have made sense to pay him and Brunson.
Yeah, but I think it was great pickup. Precious, I think, was the people are underestimating pickup in the deal. Especially with Mitchell Robinson being out, and they had to sign Taj. I love Taj. Taj is a little older now, but you needed some younger legs in there to keep. It's hard to play Taj at 40-some minutes a game. And Sims, right? That's their centers right now.
Sims has been hurt. He should be back in a while, but yeah, right now they were just surviving with Hartenstein. And Hartenstein been playing well.
Who's been very good. He's very good too. Yeah. But backup wise, it's hard. You know what I'm saying, with just Taj and Sims who's hurt. I think Precious was a good pickup, and I think OG is a great pickup. Is always he plays both sides of the ball, can shoot the three. I think a little more consistently. RJ Barrett had a hell of a year last year, but I think this year has been a little streaky up and down, and has never been known as a 3-point shooter. I think OG gives him a little bit more space in that factor, and more of an athlete and defender. RJ Barrett was a good defender as well, but obviously
OG's another level,
next level up. And they hold him in high. The league holds him in high regard for good reason. He does a lot of good things. He does a lot of things well and great. So great pickup on both sides. I think it just changed the dynamic. I still don't think it moves the needle for either one of these teams in terms of contention. I still think Knicks are a piece away, and I think Toronto's a couple pieces away, and I think they're figuring it out and trying to start over, which leads into the next topic of what do you think they do next, and how do you think they move that person next if we're speaking about Toronto?
We could. I'm going to save more on the Knicks for later on the show when we do our 2024 predictions. But we should definitely talk about what's going down in Toronto now that Pascal Siakam is the only player left from the Toronto Raptors title season, which obviously you were a part of. At this point, what the Raptors have done previously, holding on to Fred VanVleet past the trading deadline and eventually losing him for nothing. Holding on to Kyle Lowry past the trading deadline, losing him for nothing. It is absolutely inexcusable, borderline criminal if Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri let Pascal Siakam stay on that roster past the trading deadline and they eventually lose him for nothing. That's the last piece of your championship run. You have to salvage it by getting something. And I think they've gotten off the hook. Like, if I was a Raptors fan, I'd be pissed we lost Fred VanVleet for nothing. Like, especially because we didn't even make a playoff run. So for what? What did we keep him for? They have to. I don't know what the best deal is. I don't know what. But at the end of the day, even if it's a deal that they feel is unsatisfactory, you got to get something back. I think he would be a dynamic piece. You know what? Actually, that's it. I already know where I want him to go.
Yeah, tell me.
I know where I want him to go.
Where do you think he should go?
What's Dallas Mavericks.
Okay. Why and for who?
Well, let me pull up the roster. Oh, I got to pull up the Mavericks roster.
I'll give you mine while you
go ahead. Yeah, you do your
roster.
Yeah.
I think it's better for him. I think it's Miami that missed out on too many people in the past couple of years. I think it's best for Miami to make a push and run at him and you're gonna have to give some pieces you may not like. But Toronto, I think, will take the bait. And Jaime Jaquez is one of those guys that you can put in the deal to get a
I
Pascal
don't feel
Siakam.
like the Heat would do. I feel like the Heat
I
are
don't
not a
think they
team that
would
would give
either,
up somebody like
for
that.
sure. But you're gonna have to give up a younger piece to get Pascal, somebody with good potential. They got quickly over there. They need somebody to complement that, a young that can grow up together in an era and like potentially be something in the next 3 or 4 years. I think you're gonna have to come up off him. And I know there's some pieces there you may not want to, and some other wings you might have there, but I'm trying to think of who else you might move in Miami, other than Duncan Robinson, and Jaime. But I think you can get them for Duncan Robinson, Jaime Jaquez, and some picks. So I think that'll be a good fit. It gives, obviously Jimmy during the season had some injuries and takes some rest. It gives him some time to, and Bam, off the ball a little bit. But I think gives him another look, in terms of offensive and defensive,
Do you
system in Miami.
I don't know. I mean, obviously they're not the Pistons, but I look at Jalen Duren and I look at Isaiah Stewart, and I'm like, that 4-5 combo don't work. I look at Jared Allen and
Mm-hmm.
Evan Mobley, and I'm like, they're
Mm-hmm.
talented, but that 4-5 combo don't work. I don't know if Siakam and Bam, even though if there's anybody who can make it work, it'll be Eric Spoelstra.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that will work. And I'm also saying that too because as a Knicks fan, I'm not trying to see any other team in the East get better. I
For
like it.
sure.
I like it
I
how it stands right now, with only the Celtics looking like a really good team. I'm down
Well,
with that.
I will say Pascal shoots a little better than Isaiah Stewart
Of
and
course.
Evan Mobley, so that's why I think you can make it work. And I think they're both very athletic, better athletes than the other two tandems you mentioned. But the fact that Pascal has continued to work on the jump shot and is a better shooter than those other fours makes it easier for it to work in that system. But I do think you need to surround him and Bam with more shooters. Tyler Hero's only one, and Duncan Robinson right now. You got Caleb Martin over there, but I think you need to find Kevin Love. You need to find more wings, threats to keep the floor open for them if you end up
Yeah.
trading for them. But I do like Dallas too. I want to hear why you got Dallas and see the roster
I
spot.
I
I like Dallas is probably the best fit for him.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing online, you could do a potential trade of like the Jaden Hardy with Tim Hardaway Jr.
Josh Green
And definitely, you're definitely gonna have to include Josh Green. And if I was the Raptors, I'd be very interested in Josh Green, a player who doesn't need
and
the ball
Hardy.
on
You
his,
need Green
who
and
does,
Hardy because they want younger guys. You're going to need younger guys. If you're
yeah,
starting over, you got to get the younger guys. So
Green,
Hardy and Green
Hardy,
for sure.
Green, Hardy, and Hardaway, because you're gonna have to put Hardaway in to make the money match.
Mhm.
I think that's a good deal for the Dallas Mavericks. One, you already committed to Kyrie Irving by trading for him, and you might as well maximize this roster now and get rid of all the youth and just
Mhm.
see what you could do. I mean, the way Luka's playing right now, he could easily be the best player on a championship team. He just needs guys around him. Pascal Siakam, I think, perfectly slots into your number 3 star. He could be a
Mhm.
perimeter. He could be a defender as well. And he's obviously been to an NBA Finals before, so he's got the credibility and he's got the experience. I think it's a perfect fit. And even if you don't re-sign him, all right, I think that's
You
worth the
try it.
shot.
Yeah.
It's worth it. As solid as Josh Green could be for the next 8 to 10 years in the NBA, I don't think he's ever going to pan out to be a Pascal Siakam. So I don't think you'll lose. I think you could afford to lose him
It's a
for the
win-win.
for the for the potential chance that you have. Because if you look at the West right now, nobody's running away with it, and I wouldn't want to play Luka the way Luka can hoop. That's me. That's what I would do.
I think that's a good fit. There's a plethora of teams that could use him. There's a plethora of teams that could trade for him. You can go OKC, you can go Philly, you can go, obviously Miami and Dallas. But there's a lot of even LA is always a factor, and when it comes to trades and making big moves. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.